All right, just one. Just one. Next up on the Reaper Harvest, we have a situation where Chad has brought us several clips from it's almost a distillate, honestly, from The Missing Story with Bishop Barron in Holland, but only one was voted as worthwhile by Stephanie, and that's Original Sin Part 3, which we will play for you now on the Reaper Artist.
Terms. But I think to an extent, we live with the corollary of that, because actually the great thing about the doctrine of original sin, more than anything else, is that it's democratic. All of us share in it. And as the bishop suggested, the notion that perfectibility is possible is dangerous, because it implies that if you don't become perfect, then it's your fault. And I think that the sense of those who are possessed by a desire to make the world better, which is the most admirable instinct and has been one that generations and generations of people in the Christian West have always had, that instinct is now combined with a sense of contempt for those who define themselves as necessarily.
Remember it. So we had an earlier moment of a conversation about books and virtue signaling moments ago. And Slack had a question. What if the books are for tabletop RPGs and not full of that other kind of knowledge? See, the book's status are the virtue signal that you're read, that you're well-read and knowledgeable. And the spines of the book sit there and offering for people to know what it is you're knowledgeable about better, but you've already virtue signaled that you know how to read and are knowledgeable. Anselman says books are domesticated trees. Okay. And Gavin says each book is a container holding a secret. It's where Neo kept his secrets in the Matrix before he followed the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit. Welcome, Chad. That was you're around. You'll get here. You're good here. We're going through all of the clips and stuff in the clip stream, and now, since there's still so many to go, we're invoking it has to have at least three emojis to be featured policy. Oh, I didn't even show it. Cut, redo.
Well, howdy, rascal.
Now, because we still have so many to go through, we're invoking the policy of only 3 emoji or higher rewarded clips will be played, and this is Jobs at Risk during the AI boom embody.
Well, in an OpenAI study, here are the most at-risk jobs. And
it did the thing again. Look, it did the thing again. He tried to be too fast, and you got to let stuff load and then pause it before he speaks over you.
Well, in an OpenAI study, here are the most at-risk jobs. And sadly for many people, it's not looking great. According to them, almost no one will escape. 80% of US jobs will be impacted by 10% or more, and the figures should be similar in the rest of the developed world. The worst affected are those in high finance, insurance, data processing, publishing, scientists, and most interestingly, monetary authorities like central banks. Now, me personally, I don't think that last one is such a bad thing. The least affected were agriculture, wood manufacturing, food, mining, and construction. And this kind of makes sense. The physical jobs will be the last to go. But the sad thing is, a lot of the world still doesn't even know this is happening, so they're going to be completely blindsided. And this brings us to an interesting discussion. While more competition tends to be good for the consumer, in a rare case, this time around, it may not be so. Well, in an OpenAI study, here are the most at-risk jobs. And sadly for
I did get the next one loaded. It's from Lynn Lavoie with space-time jumping by aliens. With with these guys. With these guys.
Technology. It's like propulsion technology. I should say, my brother Eric has obviously been active in this discussion. And one of the things that he points to is that the crossing of large distances, which is the number one obstacle, presumably, to any advanced civilization getting here, might actually not really be about propulsion at all. That it might be about space and time not functioning in the way that we have come to understand them, and that it might be possible to cross large distances without actually crossing them. And this is necessary. I'll just point out that our galaxy itself is 100,000 light years wide. Light, which we understand to be things like propulsion technology.
100,000 light years wide. Welcome to the Virtually Not Alone experience. It's like you're not alone because you're here with us in the hive mind. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And now, reaching down into the heart of the matter, undoubtedly, with a clip from the lovely discussion between Karen and Sevilla. Yes, God have mercy on us. God have mercy on us all. From ups in the clip stream. This gift.
Have mercy on me, a sinner. God, there is a God. I am not him. God have mercy. He is a merciful God. Have mercy on me. He sees that he will give mercy to me, and I am a sinner. And so the whole story is right there.
Yeah.
And that is not a matter of achieving, but a matter of receiving.
Right.
And it's not a matter of enlightenment in the sense of, oh, now I have something that nobody else has. It's a matter of, I have received this gift and I can now tell other people this gift is available to anybody. Anybody. You don't have to be of a certain academic quality or a certain intellectual pursuit, or you don't have to be smart. You don't have to be, a competent weightlifter. Any child is able to receive this. God have mercy on me.
That's like 5 times she said that now. We have a discussion emerging from the hive mind chat, where Chad started with, can you do that Finding Nemo thing for Santa Claus storyline? And Gavin was like, I was thinking the same thing, Chad. Answer Menzel, Confucius, he say literature is so much litter. And Lenny goes, Dr. Seuss is the place. Oh! The Places You Can Go is an awesome book. Gavin tells his kids there are Santa impersonators, but not that he is one. And then Chad says, we should ask the learning language models to make the best explanation for kids in The Legend of Santa and why we pretend. And why would you have the language model do that when Grimm's streaming? Because he could just do it. Brace yourself, the BERT algorithm has gone open source as predicted. And that part 8 minutes before it happened, because I saw the tweet when I was seeing if Pastor Paul was going to do a Q&A or not earlier today. What lays at the feet of Coca-Cola, I think, is a bundle of gold from those that have diabetes. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. And now that we've hit you with that heart, I'm going to violate the rules and play these 2 clips, which I think are clearly matters of survival from both Chad and myself. First, the one from Chad.
Where you could argue that
The federal government has monopoly power. In Homeland Security, cybersecurity, we're a partner.
Yeah.
We're a partner. And so, in particular, when you have a mission to protect and defend critical infrastructure and you don't own the vast majority of it, and you're not a regulatory agency, by and large, you need to develop really robust partnerships. So I love the fact that the JCDC early on allowed us to create a platform to bring together our federal partners, so FBI, NSA, Cybercom, Defense, Justice, ODNI, Secret Service, the National Cyber Director, on one platform to work with the private sector. And the first thing that we did, which then paid a lot of dividends with both Log4Shell, if you'll remember the very serious open source vulnerability.
Do you think that like fancy nails are an intelligence agency tactic? Grim, don't you know?
And then, of course, Shields Up, was we developed what we call the Alliance, which are the 20, 25-ish biggest technology companies in the world, the ISPs, the CSPs, the backbone infrastructure, the sites where you could argue.
And now from that Grimgriz fella himself, there's some survival news for me and Chad. And then over here in the Discord, Stephanie is mentioning the heart clip from Sevilla and Mary. Wow. Sevilla and Karen. This is exactly what my Bible study has been talking about for the past year. It's amazing how difficult it is to accept this gift. And it's really awkward when you're like out in the field in the middle of a thunderstorm, like after having tried to accept it and nothing happens. That's kind of awkward too. Or like when you're in the middle of a church having just been baptized and everyone's expecting you to speak in tongues and nothing happens. Like, how did you accept the gift wrong? What? Anyway, yes, it is really hard to accept the gift. It is. And now the next one with the 3 is from Clint D. With about the end of anthropology with our good friend King's North, apparently. And here it is. Can you see this as well?
I don't want to write like an activist. I want to write like what I actually am, which is a kind of non-expert, lower middle class bloke just sort of wandering through this stuff and trying to make sense of it with my head. That's all I am. And that's so I just try and remember that. And write for people who I suppose we all just write for people who we think are probably like us, or sort of see the world a bit like us. And we're just trying to communicate to them and saying, can you see this as well? And I just have a particular style, which, it's, I wouldn't call it light-hearted exactly, but I hope it's open. It's not, I'm not trying to be dense and
right.
Prophetic, right?
Yes.
Like an They're very, very sharp in zooming in on what was already going on, and his prophecies about what would happen were quite correct. Right. And effectively, he says, look, if you have a culture that turns away from God, every culture is built around a spiritual story. Ours was Christian. If you turn away from that, everything is coming down. And not only is everything coming down, but all of your values and the way you see the world is going to be inverted. So you end up with this inversion in which you're basically walking towards the devil rather than God, but also all of your values are inverted. So the things you used to think were virtues, you now think are sins, and the things you used to think were sins are now virtues. And that just leads to this spiritual crisis. I think that's where we are. And I think that is reflected in the culture war, and it's reflected in the general mess of society. And we're confused years ago. They're very, very. And so this is the paradox of the ascetic way, is that it teaches you. It's a bit like trying to cut yourself off from your passions, right? You don't want to do that. You want to pursue all your passions. You want to pursue the things you want to do. And similarly, why should you not be able to eat nice food or have a drink or have sex or whatever? Why do you want to do that? It's just ridiculous. These are good things. But when you start to cut yourself off from them, you realize that you're controlled by them, and you realize that freedom actually comes from wanting less And this is something that every sage in every culture across history has always told us.
Right.
Right? You have to live simply so that people can simply live, and we don't do that. And so we try to pursue global justice through politics or technology or efficient robotics or artificial intelligence or all of this, and it's just the devil's trap. It's just the devil's trap. It's the apple again. It's like, hey guys, we can sort everything out with technology and politics and revolution. It's Babylon. It's actually the Tower of Babel.
Dum, dum, dum.